good? Are we on? They just gonna hear somebody speaking, and O's just gonna be looking.
Oh man.
Are we on? Okay. Well, all right. It's one of them days when we come on laughing on the straight raw tip, man. That's what's up. This Real Talk 101 here on a Sunday afternoon at Vox Wave Studio out here from 6 to 8 p.m. You know who it is, man. My name is Bradley Trammell. My co-pilot's right there, Mr. Orlando Boyd. And it's been a while since it's just been us two in the studio, man. I don't know where we're going to go today. We just going to talk about how we usually do, man. I know, you know, the folk that watch, and they've been watching, been, you know, loyally, you know, watching the content that has been put up. We thank you for that. You know what I'm saying? Thank the Lord, most of all, hoping that you got a message from him. Because if you ain't getting no message from him while you listen to us, then I don't even know what to tell you. You just listen to two brothers babble on. I'll say this much. It's been an interesting week. You know, prayers been answered. Some prayer requests are still in the mix, but I mean, such is life. Thankful to be alive. Thankful that I have as much as I have that a lot of people that don't have. You know what I'm saying? And I'm never finding myself a day. It said, the word tells me that the will of the Father for every man is to give thanks, and no matter what situation they in, through the good and the bad, to give thanks. That's his will. So there should never ever be a time we can't give thanks. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you're breathing, if your heart is beating right now. And I was talking to a young brother in Sabbath school yesterday, named Rick. I was just sitting there talking to him. I was like, can you control your heartbeat? Can you like slow it down, speed it up? Like if you told your heart to stop right now and then, you know, start it back up again a minute later, could you do it? It's like, nah. It was like, you know why? He said, because you're not sustaining yourself.
You're not in control.
You're not in control. It's like you can't tell. You can hold your breath for a couple minutes. Told him how me and my brother used to see how long we could hold our breath underwater. But after a certain amount of time, it'd be like 1.5, 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? We gotta come up.
You have to.
Turning blue in the face, passing out. And then my mother, you know, slapping us out for doing something that's stupid to begin with. So it's like these types of things, you know what I'm saying? This is what Yahweh the Father sustains in you and me. It's his breath is the one sustaining the earth. Everybody that's breathing. And this is the crazy thing. It's not even just people breathing, it's animals breathing. And then I don't want you to just think about mammals who intake oxygen. The fish have to swim so that when water passes through their gills, they extract oxygen from the water. So while they're swimming, they're essentially breathing just in a different way. They're breathing underwater. And he's sustaining all that at the same time and interested in you and I just as much as if we're like the only ones alive. That type of stuff blows my mind, man. And
He's the life giver.
it's the life giver, precisely. So I ain't gonna get too deep right into it. Anything on your mind? Oh, thanks, prayer requests.
I mean, definitely a prayer request.
Okay.
Keep the Hargrove family
Yes.
in prayer. They just buried a young lady. Well, I don't know if she actually went into the ground today. I'm assuming she was not cremated. I didn't make it to the services, but Claudine Hargrove, you know, she was tragically murdered. You know, she didn't just pass away. I'm gonna say maybe a few weeks ago in Atlanta, domestic violence situation. You know, so pray for people in situations of domestic violence, and you know that the Holy Spirit would move in people's relationships, or that people would have a desire for their beings to be changed. You know, we can't change, like you was telling the young man, he really has no control over his existence. I mean, you can make choices in what you do or don't do, but the fact that you're alive, you don't have any control over that. You can do things to kill yourself, but you can't do anything to really give life. You know what I'm saying? Even when a man and a woman come together to create a baby, the Most High forms that child in the womb. You know what I'm saying? So he's always in charge of life. And he gives and he takes away. You know, her death was tragic. From a human perspective, it was untimely. You know what I'm saying? But don't nothing catch the Most High of God. So I don't know. You know, just pray for the family, and you know, the Holy Spirit gives them comfort. The Hargrove. I mean, there's plenty people in need of prayer. You know, there's always a testimony, man. The fact that we wake up every morning. The testimony just came out the studio, doing some recording, and the Most High is using us to record some tracks professionally so that they can be, ready to be distributed. I'm just thankful for being able to sit at this table. We got a lot to talk about. Everything ain't perfect, but it could be worse. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I just, I know you open this up. Just keep those who are going through, losing loved ones, who are in situations of domestic violence. Just lift that up to the Most High.
Sure. Yeah, definitely that. I got a bunch of prayer requests, but they're mostly unspoken, so we just going to dig into it. Bow your heads with us. Lord, Yah Almighty, we thank you for another opportunity to do your work. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. The fact that you picked us to do this, because we could be doing anything else. And the fact that we would even want to do this is a sign that you are working through us to do this, Lord. I'd like to lift up both Orlando and myself right now, and Reg and Ron, wherever he may be. Just watch over us and forgive us for our sins. May your Holy Spirit attend this session, Lord. I pray for the Hargrove family and all the other families that are out there dealing with domestic violence and many other abuses, sexual abuse, drug addiction, all that stuff. Lord, this world is truly a crazy place. We cannot wait for your return so we can get up out of here, because this is not our home, Lord. I pray for all the unspoken prayer requests for everybody present, those who are not present, Lord. And thank you for hearing and answering prayer and providing, Lord, and knowing us inside and out, knowing our needs before we even ask you, Lord. I thank you for that. You know about the endeavors that you yourself have set in place, put our feet on the path to do ministry through music, Lord. We ask that you move in a mighty way in that direction, and be with everybody affiliated with this radio station, and be with Reg and his plans of entrepreneurship and to grow this business that you've given him, Lord. I pray that in your son Yeshua's name and for his sake. Amen. Yeah, man, like I usually do, I just, come out of a couple places this week where I was actually reading my word. I'm going to say this first of all. The word says, when you fast, do not let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Do not wear your countenance, your face in such a way to where people are going to come around and you be like, what's wrong with you? Right. You know what I'm saying? Don't put it on your sleeve. Better yet, the word tells us to rather pray, suffer, fast, make our petitions known to God in secret, so that he can reward us openly. Because he makes this disparity because the Pharisees of old and the religious leaders of old, they used to do these types of things in a very public fashion so that they can get the gratitude of men. And the word also tells us that they had their reward already. So if you seeking pride, if you seeking a boosted ego, if you seeking hand claps and handshakes and attaboys from your fellow man, then that's your reward. That's what you're going to get.
True.
But God the Father has the ability to bless you beyond that. And then not only that, he'll use your situation in which you suffered in silence to give somebody else hope. I find myself in a position where there are certain things in my life. This week, I started giving fully to the Lord and abstaining from them. But this is the miraculous part. I was talking to Darian this week on Tuesday and Thursday, and he told me about an incident where last weekend he was at a wedding in California he got invited to. The groom who was getting married was a friend of his who was an atheist. And this brother and him had such heated arguments and debates back and forth that they ain't had no choice but to become friends. And I found that funny, because he's Christian and his boy is an atheist. And they go back and forth and they make points to one another, but neither one of them backs down from the position they're in. But yet and still, this brother who is an atheist finds cause to invite this man to his wedding and be in the wedding. And I just find that it speaks to the character which is speaking through my boy Darian when he interacts with this brother. Because this dude clearly I'm like, me and you are enemies and we can't see eye to eye. Why am I going to invite you to such a momentous occasion as me getting married? Right. He says when he gets there, another brother named Paco, who he knows, who's also atheist, was there as well. He took a picture in between both of them, and his caption was, "This is proof that yes, a Christian and two atheists can take a picture together and coexist." Just being kind of comical. But he's telling me about, he was able to go down there and witness in the capacity that he could. He did not bring in any topics of conversation up for contention. He just lived his life as the Son of God would want him to live. He showed God's character when he was down there. And he said that's the best thing he could do. And when he was telling me this, it allowed me to appreciate the freedom to do the same thing. I've had to wrestle in my mind and get this deep-rooted traditionalist mentality out of me that people should be speeding up in their walk with God when I'm perceive myself to be a certain level. They should be doing things if they really profess to love the Most High. They should be doing things. And in my mind, I'm setting little check marks, you know what I'm saying, little judgment marks. And I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm not doing it to say, oh, I'm not going to mess with you no more if you ain't coming along. But in my mind, I'm like, well, shouldn't you be doing this and shouldn't you be doing that? And the Most High tells me in his most subtle and caring way, he's like, you can't save nobody. He has to remind me, this is something I know. I know this. But he has to remind us this because it is in us to judge often. It is in us to speculate and to observe and to come up with our own impressions based off what we see. But our problem is we can only see exterior. We cannot see the heart. And whenever that happens, whenever we cannot see the heart the way the Father can, we always have to submit our judgments and our speculations to what he knows already. And the way he would, as a matter of fact, he would want us to come to him and ask about the person.
That's so there it is. There it is. The reason you possess an ability to see in others where it's being impressed on you that this particular person could be further along. And maybe they're not because nobody's praying for them in that specific area.
Right.
That very well may be what you're to do for instead of telling the person or feeling towards the person like, come on, Slim, you should know better.
Right.
Or by now you should, Father, look, this is what you've shown me this person is struggling with. Help him there.
Help him
in this situation. You help them in this situation. And because you ask him to do it, he's going to do it. And he'll show you, like you said, when you do whatever you do it in secret so I can reward you openly. If you see somebody you know struggling with something, maybe fast from a particular thing for a day on that individual's behalf and talk to the Most High about it. And in the next week you see that person, you may clearly see a change or a mark. Like they may come, he will allow them to come to you, not to tell you, hey man, look, I'm doing this, that, and the other thing, but to show you, he'll show you through them that your prayer was answered because what you perceived in them has changed.
And it's humbling when that happens as well.
And you also, that stamps your connection with the Most High even more.
It does.
You know, our prayers for others probably sometimes are more powerful than our prayers for ourselves. And it's a selfless act.
Just because you said that, that leads me into the point I was trying to make with actually what happened with Darian at the end of that trip. He said that, you know, that Sabbath he was actually able to go to a church, Spanish-speaking church. I told Darian I got to catch up with him, man. He's fluent in Spanish, but he lives in Arizona. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot more people out there that speak Spanish fluently. So every time he throws questions at me, I be hesitant because I'm not as fluent as he is. He's like, man, you can get there just like I did. I was like, man, if I get immersed, then maybe. But anyway, that's another story. He went to a church where they were speaking that fluently. And there was a part after the whole service was over where all the elders were called up to the front. And they openly had an invitation for anybody who wants to get anointed, wants to get oil poured on their head for a certain incident in their life, or what maybe they're dealing with something, to come down for special prayer. And he felt the urge to go down there. And he did. He spoke to one elder or whatever in Spanish, told him what the issue was, but that elder felt compelled because of what he had told him. He wasn't even specific. He's like, I'm dealing with an addiction. They brought all the elders. This is a foreign church that he's at. They brought all of them down. They laid hands on him, and they poured oil on his head, kind of like what they did with Jared. And they prayed over that brother. When he got on the phone with me to tell me about this experience, he was like, the one thing changed in my mind. He said, Yahweh was like, stop asking me for deliverance over this thing. Thank me for the victory that is already won. The blood has already been shed. The remission of sins, everything's already been paid for. You've already been bought. You're already saved. Act like it. This mindset of deliver me, help me with this. Next time I come to this temptation, keep it from me. I struggle with this. Help me stop doing that. All that is the mindset of not yet overcome. If we serve a good and mighty God who's capable of any and everything except failing, then talk to him like it. Thank him for the victory. So he happened to tell me this information on the first day of my fast. I started the fast praying like that. And miraculously, the desires that I had to indulge in vices and foods that I knew I was going to take away from myself, the desire is completely gone. It's the most miraculous thing. I don't even desire it. I was at a cookout yesterday.
Amen.
A cookout. They had at least 200 people up in that joint. Not as big as the joint you told me about, but it was a good number. First thing on the menu when you go into that little soul food line, chicken, burgers. I walked past right there. They was like, look, this is the fried fish with bone. This is the fried fish without bone. I was like, give me that. Because that's the only thing I was going to eat was fish. I told the Lord that. Best fish I ever had. Yeah. Put some hot sauce on it, got me some bread. You know how we do. Yeah. And they had the nerve to have tartar sauce as well. I was like, man, you got Horace and Dickies? Come on. You know what I'm saying? I wish I had something that I ate before up in here, but this was all yesterday. So I was thankful in that regard that the desire to do, that's the wonderful thing about the Most High. Not only does he know what we struggle with, but if we take something to him, a problem, he'll give us the strength to do it. It's like me saying, oh, go behind this building and mow that. But then I supply you with the newest lawnmower, with the top of the line gas, give you a towel, a whole jar of jug of water in case you get hot, and I cause the wind to blow at the same time. I make the situation completely easy for you to get this thing done.
Effortless on your part.
Effortless on your part. All you have to do is just comply with my wish to do it. And that leads me on this whole thing. And I want y'all to know something. The Most High come on me, man. I ain't playing none of this. I ain't playing to say none of this. But this is where I was getting to. Psalm 139. And I'm really interested to hear what to say out of the Tanakh. But I'm going to just read the first 18 verses because this joint hit me so hard. It's like when you read this, your ability to worry has to be cut in half. When you read this, you cannot think about and worry and stress the same way that you have been doing. You can't do it after you read this passage of scripture, Psalm 139. And this is coming from a man who ran for his life twice. He ran from a king who was trying to kill him because he heard he was the next man in line, and he ran later in his life from his own children. Man's name was David. This is what he says. King James says, O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. We're going to break this thing down one by one. He says, you search me and you know me. You know everything about me. You know my Bible at home. I know I got the New King James. That joint says, you know my sitting down and my standing up. We just left a studio where you were standing up for about an hour. And you had the wherewithal and the want to sit down. Mm-hmm. I look at that and I'm like, he says, you know my sitting down and my standing up. He knew you was going to be tired. So the conversation came around when we was in the studio. It's like, okay, we need to take a break now. And what do you want to do? You want to sit down. And he allowed it to happen because he knows you're sitting down and you're standing up. That's how I look at it. I'm sorry. That's just, you got to take the small things and know that he knows you completely. Let's continue on to verse 3. It says, thou compassest my path and my lying down and art acquainted with all my ways. What he's saying is he maps out your steps day by day. When you wake up in the morning, you may have an idea, I'm going to go to work. While I'm at work, I'm going to go to lunch. I'm going to come back from lunch. I'm going to go back to work, and I'm going to come home. But you don't know what path you're going to take. You may get on the road. It'd be an accident. Whole road shut down. You got to take a detour. You didn't know that when you first woke up. But the Almighty did. He knows your path. And he meaning if he this joint says compasses it. He sets it out. It's kind of like when you plug in the address on your app for your maps joint, and that joint lists out about 3 different directions. You know what I'm saying? It tells you the time, it shows you if there's traffic. It compasses out your path. God does that without no app. He does, yeah, exactly. That's what compass does.
People know about a compass, though. A lot of people know about a compass.
Oh yeah, the north, south, east, west. They don't know how that joint shifts, right?
They don't need it no more. Their phone tell them
everything.
That's old school map and compass.
But the thing is, the Almighty does this every day of your life. You only use that app on your phone or however you find your direction, maybe once or twice. This happens every day. And he says he's acquainted with all your ways, meaning he knows your proclivities. He knows what you may do. He knows if he sets your path up to run past a certain store, a certain spot, a certain person's house, you may have the want and desire to go get off the path for a second and see about that, whether you should or should not. He knows that. But if he allows it to happen, that must mean it's either a test that he believes you can pass, or else he wouldn't put it in your way, because he's never going to give you more than you can bear. My point is, he's acquainted with all your ways, all your desires, all your wants, anything that goes on in your head. He knows specifically what Orlando likes. He knows specifically what Brad likes. He knows specifically what Reggie likes, and all of them are different, because we all different men. So he knows this. He plots out your way. Then I go to verse 4. He says, "For there is not a word on my tongue, but, O Lord, you knowest it altogether." So not only does he know all my ways, he knows all my proclivities, my desires, what I may want to do, but he knows everything I'm going to speak and the way I'm going to speak it.
Before it even gets there.
Before it even gets there. He knows how you're going to respond. Some people respond more aggressively than others. Some people respond more calmly than others. But in whatever way you formulate your words, he knows how you are going to respond. Meaning, he ain't go. That's one of the biggest reasons why he don't have us all in the same path. Because a word spoken in good season by one brother may not be able to be spoken by another. And because he has everybody's path compass, I'm gonna get that joint right before compasses about. He has certain people having certain interactions because he's mapping out everybody's plan. I know this brother likes this, but he's able to speak this way, so I'm gonna have him interact with that brother. It is no coincidence that when I walked into this studio, what's the brother's name? Brother Tate. Coming that, his name is Edwards or Tate? Tate, yeah, okay. This brother comes in here with a spiel synonymous with what we just left the studio and doing. Speaking good truth, speaking gospel, and doing it in a rhyme form for a community that needs it. Driving around the community every Thursday, giving out food and speaking life into communities. Then he told me about a midnight basketball league to where every halftime they put on a presentation where we can also apply ourselves in there. And I was in the car 15 minutes before I came in here, and I saw that brother pull up. He didn't even park straight. I thought he was about to come in. Yeah, I thought he was gonna come in here because the way he parked looked like a brother who's coming in here like, man, I got a problem with somebody. Because you know when you pull up, you park crazy. Yeah. If you coming in to have a conversation, you park. But this dude pulled up, took up 3 spaces. I was like, oh, I wonder who in there. Nice, but then I saw Reggie's truck. I was like, well, Reggie don't need no help. You know what I'm saying? So I come in here, they having a conversation, and he naturally he sees my picture on there. He said, oh, Brad, you Bradley. He said, well, what's this about? And then the conversation ensues. This is nothing planned because he encompasses my way. Mm-hmm. I said, wait till Ogun in here and hear what you got to say. Because I live for stuff like this. Because he ain't would believe, he's at the point where he would believe me if I told him I had this type of conversation. But the way things come about, we know who's orchestrating, man.
The thoughts he gives us. Thoughts he thinks towards us. It's his plan. Now, I'm sitting up Upshur Day. You know what I'm saying? Upshur Street Day yesterday. You know, they do the boxing, I ceasefire, don't smoke to brothers and sisters. And I'm thinking to myself, so the thought had to come from somewhere. Hood Proud need to be doing stuff at events like this. This was yesterday. Today, coming to the studio and an opportunity at an event like that presents itself. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm gonna say about that particular thing. Meaning, he encompassed it. It was already in his plan for us. Now, I'm trying to cuss myself out for being there yesterday, you know, in the capacity that I was there. At the same time, it's like I had an opportunity to see a young brother that I know from around the way. He was given a mic with his 2 little kids. He performed some of his tracks prior to the event really getting started. You know, they had some bands come up, but it was basically about the boxing. You know what I'm saying? But it was more people was listening to the music, of course, eating the food. But it was a positive event, you know what I'm saying? Stopping the violence in the communities. And I felt like, I didn't feel jealous. Like, man, I wish that was me up there. A part of me wanted to go up there and ask him, look, man, especially when the band started playing, man, if I spit something with y'all, you know what I'm saying, over one of these, you know, just give me a basic pocket beat, and I'm going from there. But I sat there, you know, separate from everybody else. It's like the homies always, they got a portion of the hill with it. It's always, you know, then dudes from 1-4, dudes from Crittenden. They all stand right there. I didn't even give it thought because when I walked up, I didn't see no faces that I recognized on that particular portion of the hill. So I went over there where some people was that I knew, some older people, and went up the hill right there. My brother came, that's where he came. When he and his wife came, that's where they came. And a couple other people came over there. But all the homies was over there. Had I been over there, there's no telling where my mindset would have been at. Because I would have been around a bunch of probably a conversation I would have preferred to not engage in. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna speak to no activities, but I know I would have wanted to distance myself from the conversation because jokers in the street. You that's what you talk. It's street conversation. I was trying to keep my mind away from that, especially knowing we was going to the studio today. But some brothers might have felt like we was being anti, but it was that piece of being off to the side where the thought was allowed to be placed in my mind. This is what y'all need to be doing. As far as situations like this could be our contribution to outreach, where we're of a mind we want to go into these hoods and minister to people. You set up a stage or put a venue in the midst of a hood, you put a microphone in a brother's hand and get to playing a track, that music is going to attract more ears and get more attention than you walking around knocking on people's doors or asking people if you mind if I talk to you for a second. I mean, they may do it, but that amplified sound through them speakers is going to reach a whole lot of people. Even if you're just taking that opportunity to say whatever you would say to one person, one-on-one, say it to 200. You know what I'm saying? And let the Spirit do the rest of the work because he's moving through everything. Some positive stuff was said. Some reckless stuff was said on the mic too, but man, it's about reaching the people. You know what I'm saying? And it's about letting the Holy Spirit be the one doing the guiding and attempting to reach the people. He gave us the tracks. He's given us an opportunity on the 29th of September. All we got to do is be there.
That's all we got to do.
Get there. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to take it from there. It's funny, you said, now I'm going to let you finish. I'm going to let you finish before I read.
Yeah, okay.
Read it out of here.
We have verse 5, chapter 139 of Psalms. It says, Thou hast beset me behind and before and laid thy hand upon me. I know because I read this joint in my Bible, and that joint says, you have hedged me in front and behind. Now, when I think of hedges, I think about these big old sticker-briar bushes that be in front of my father's house. He used to tell me to hedge every day on Sunday along with mowing the lawn and edging that joint upright. And it'd be a billion spiders that live in them joints. And I remember I was cutting one time, and I think I cut a limb that had a big old net on it, like a web joint. And all types of mess came out. It was all over me. I had a fit. You know what I'm saying? I look crazy from somebody seeing me from across the street. You know what I'm saying? I was flailing and stuff. I didn't know what was going to come out there and bite me, dig into my skin. I didn't know. But a hedge usually be in front of the house. Now, he says you hedged in front and behind. The hedge is like a barrier. So if you're saying I'm hedged up in front and behind and then you got your hand on me, that's a full covering.
Mm-hmm.
Front and behind and you got your hand on me. That means over. That means my hand is on this bottom. Hedged in front and behind. That means you got me. That's what I get out of verse 5. And it says, such knowledge is too wonderful to me, for me. It is high and I cannot attain unto it. What I get out of that joint is I can't understand that even when I go through the troubles that I go through in this life, you've still hedged me to the point where they don't take me out. So to understand that is too great of a knowledge for me because you really can go at any given time. Case in point, what you were just talking about to open up this show. Domestic violence. This woman left this earth very tragically.
I'm getting out the truck, and I hear John McCain died today, or last night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? About with the. I'm hearing how they talking about him before. You know, WTOP they loop everything. So I caught the end of it, but I didn't get the beginning. So when the story came back, I thought it was just praising John McCain for I didn't know he did something, signed something. You know how he's this type of senator, that type of senator. And it was like Slim Paz. I mean, I know brain cancer ain't nothing light. I didn't know Slim was at the point of death. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was, with him being gone, we ain't gonna get into no politics, but, suddenly, we ain't got no control over this thing.
No control.
Should praying for his family.
Then David starts going a little bit deep because if you look at verse 6 and he's talking about how wonderful. Have you ever had that epiphany? It's like, this is too good to be true. This is so flipping incredible that it actually takes your mind to another epiphany. You have one revelation and it takes you from one to the other. Now, some people might say, well, that's how Bama's get when they high. You just jump from one fantastic idea to another. But this is reality. You know what I'm saying? He's like, for you to be protecting me and have your hand on me, front and behind, I'm hedged. He's like, first of all, that's too. First of all, I am one out of millions in existence, and possibly zillions that have lived and died on this planet. And you got me hedged up like this, just me, everybody but me. Then he says, man. Then he starts going to extremes. He's like, where shall I go when I can escape you, or when your spirit is not there? He said, where can I go to escape your presence? If I go into heaven, of course you there. If I make my bed in hell, you there too. Now that speaks to me, because either we in the best place we could ever be or in the worst place we could ever be, and he's still there. If you ponder on that, Paul, Silas, in the jail, singing songs, right? Let's back up a little bit more. Peter, about to get executed the next day, in the stocks, soldiers all around, sleeping like a baby. Why? Because he knows who's with him. When you know who's with you, Slim, especially if it's Lord Yah Almighty, and you believe that.
It's funny you made those two comparisons of them brothers in jail, right?
Exactly.
See, when Peter was laying there asleep, when that angel came through, loosed his shackles, told him get up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They left. Paul was in that joint. The gates was open. Mm-hmm. He ain't going nowhere though.
He nowhere.
He stayed there preaching.
Right.
And teaching. And that just showed me his level of comfort being in prison, as opposed to feeling like I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
He even told her when the guard woke up and saw that the gates were open, he was like, "Oh, these jokers, I know they gone."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh man, don't kill yourself. We still here.
Yeah.
Everybody here.
He's about to kill himself.
Mind if I come on in here with us?
Yeah.
At church."
Yeah.
And that dude and his whole household.
His
ended up getting
whole
saved.
household.
Now, had he left, had he took the opportunity to leave, well, I guess I'm saying that to say this. Sometimes situations present themselves when you're in a bad situation.
Man.
The Holy Spirit will give you an out, but it's really just to see if you're willing to leave that situation or stay there and let him continue to use you in that bad. Who wants to be locked up?
Man.
Who wants to be in jail? Don't nobody want to be in jail, but Slim wasn't tripping.
Man.
Being where he was at and was still able to be used while in a situation where most people are like, man, God, open the gates. Let me out. Do what you did for Peter. Shake the foundations of the jail. I believe. He opened up the door. Whoo, you out of there. But you leave your celly. You leave the dude he sent you there to. Quick testimony. Taylor Street, they had a block party. Probably was it last Saturday, Sunday? One of them, I don't know. I go up there, take my father up there. He won't get a plate. I'm like, man, I've been jiving or even getting. Did I come from seeing my man? I might have been coming from seeing my man. I mentioned my man who got shot 5 times, point blank with a 45 in his body, and the blessing that he didn't get any vital organs hit. Came home from the hospital 2 weeks after the incident happened, and they said he's capable of taking outpatient rehab. It's unreal. The Most High is unreal. You know what I'm saying? So prayer changes things, man. 5 times, right? And center, man, look. And he fought through it though. But I was saying, just to give you an idea how, and y'all have heard some testimonies that I give, man, how the Most High placed me places. Coming up Taylor Street, approaching 13th Street, they had it blocked off. You couldn't, vehicles was parked there. Even though the party was in between the 2 alleys, vehicles had it blocked from this end. So I'm thinking to myself, I just rode around, went down, came up the other street, came up. And when I looked down from the 14th Street side, I saw that the alley was open. So I went up to the next street up, turned up, came down the alley, and was right there at the jump. My father was like, man, I don't know what made you do that. That was a heck of a move. He right there at night, just had to do is walk down and get his plate. I'm sitting there, this dude walk around the corner, coming off 14th Street. He looking. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Because this ain't the type of neighborhood where, somebody been in the corner looking. You might get to reaching for whatever might be in the, your little safety. And I ain't talking about your Bible, you know what I'm saying? It might be reaching. But I'm looking at the dude, not staring. But I'm looking at him, he looking at me. And he looked. And when he looked like, I looked at him, I was like, oh, man. One of the brothers that was in the bullpen.
Oh.
When I told you they got me on that warrant.
Yeah.
And I'm down there, John, having a Paul moment down Central booking. Man, we dapped each other up and got his information from him. He was like, man, and this is not to brag, because when I was working down Central booking, because it was an assignment, I wasn't concerning myself with what I was saying to people or how I was interacting. I was as bold as I could be in the name of the Most High. And I was telling everybody this situation's gonna get no paper. Some of you going home, that joint gonna get no paper. Just about everybody I said it to got no paper. My joint got paper though. I had to go back to court. Even though I beat it, I had to go back. I said, so what happened with you? He said, man, that joint got no paper. He said, let me thank you, bro. He said, man, ever since that conversation we had, I've been a lot calmer. He said, I've been a lot calmer. That's like the second or third person that told me that after having a conversation with them. He's like, man, my attitude changed. I'm still fighting with my own personal. That's how you know it wasn't me.
Yeah, that's how you do
I'm
it.
still struggling
how
with
you
my
do it.
attitude, brother. And he seemed like his demeanor. He looked like he was wiser in his look. You know, he was just a little hype down there in that bullpen. But you know, you got to maintain that certain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when we got to rapping about God, you know, the term that was being used at the time was Jesus, and the brother just sitting there looking like, man, who is this nigga talking about all this church stuff? You know, a bunch of dudes, a bunch of street dudes. This is routine for them. I was placed there, so I knew it was for a reason. I had a mission. All 4 or 5 different brothers was singled out. Gave that testimony on the hills that you bring up the point about Peter and Paul being incarcerated, and individuals who might be in incarcerated situations, say in your mind, you locked up in your mind somewhere. There may be somebody else locked up in that same mindset, and even though you begging God to free you, you would probably never understand another visual if you couldn't share the same mindset. You know what I'm saying? I can go back to some effed up mindsets that I've been in, so I can talk to people with jacked up mindsets. But if you've never been there, or if you think you're so good and you don't recognize how jacked up your mindset really is, it'll be more of a harm to the person than a help. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to letting the person know that you actually understand their situation. Slim could have rolled out. Paul could have rolled out. Now Peter was supposed to leave.
He's supposed to leave.
You know what I'm saying? An angel came and got him. So it ain't like, I'm not saying he left because he was scared. But Paul could have left too. Because the Holy Spirit is the one that opened up the doors to the jail. But he didn't leave. Holy Spirit gave him an out. He didn't take it. He does that with us sometimes. You're in a treacherous situation. You're scared. So he gives you an out. But he didn't give us a spirit of fear. So he wants us in that situation. You got to put self aside and stand on him. And no, he opened the door so clearly I can leave, but there's still people here that need help. So I ain't going nowhere. He gonna respect that and watch what he do for you in the end. He gonna put stars in your crown. He gave that man the jailer and his whole family. So, I don't know where that came from. But.
Nah, that was on time. Shoot. Verse 9 is continuing on along that lines of what we've been rapping about. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea. Now, the majority of the earth is covered with water. And the majority of those waters we consider the sea are uncharted. We ain't even been. He talking about the uttermost parts. The presence of the Lord is still there. Blows my mind. Even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me.
Think about these people. I think it was a woman not too long ago that was found by some ship. I think I heard the story on the news. I think she was out there for 8 days or something like that. Maybe 15 days.
Just floating?
Just floating. I think she said she was doing yoga and singing songs to herself or something. Did you hear about that? Man.
Yeah.
But it just came to my mind. If I take the wings of the morning, dwell in the midst of the sea. If you dwell in the midst of the sea, that's where you finding yourself at that time. It might not even be by choice. A dwelling place, it could be a person's home. There are people that may have been sustained surely on the fact that that promise was spoken. May not even really know how they were. You out in the ocean.
I can't imagine, Slim. I seen movies.
You can't touch the bottom.
Yeah.
And you doggy paddling or being allowed to float for days.
You don't know what's swimming up under you, Slim.
Come on, man. That's only the Most High protecting you, Joe.
I'm sorry. I'm a brother. That's how I'm thinking. I'm like, what behemoth is swimming?
What massive creature
is swimming up under me?
You surrounded by miles of water around and deep, man. School buses swimming underneath you.
Yeah.
2-3 school buses.
2-3 school buses. Man. Yeah, Slim. That's all. Man. Then he goes to a little bit of a different perspective about actually how we kind of think about stuff. I'll just read it. It says in verse 11, it says, if I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yet the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. That says several things to me. We just had a conversation the other day how the freaks come out at night. It's Go-Go song. Also, only some people will only come out at night because that's when they make their money, do their business. Also with that, we say the word tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the rulers of the darkness of this world, the rulers of the darkness. Can you imagine being a villain or somebody of evil reputation to do everything you do at night in the cover of darkness, but is still seen as the light by the one who created everything? All things were created for him and by him. So why in the world would I be scared to death of anything that moves around at night? When he has perfect vision of everything that takes place and goes on. Anything that happens in the dark is as light to him. There is nothing secret.
To him.
To him. There's nothing secret.
There's some vicious stuff out
There's
there
some
at
vicious,
nighttime.
there's some vicious stuff.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I know some people that's like, I got family members who, and this ain't me, but they got an interest in watching horror movies at night in the dark. And I'm like, why would you take away from yourself sleep? Because you won't go to sleep after that, and they can't sleep comfortably after that. I was like, why would you work yourself into such a state? And then the nonsense that they got in theaters now. Anything you watch in the theater is in the dark. You know, they ain't going to no theater and the lights be on while you watching the movie. They got such nonsense that's coming out now. I didn't watch this documentary, but I saw this commercial yesterday, and we ain't gonna spend too much time on this because it is supernatural. These jokers who have been making them Conjuring movies, talking about them people back who used to do all the mediums and all that stuff, they tried to take a format. This is how I know we living in the last days. They tried to take a format and not just make one horror movie. When we was growing up, it was Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. They're like physical beings or whatever. They come and they gonna kill you, they gonna cut you up if they get their hands on you. Now it's more so of demonic supernatural, which you know human being can fight. You just gonna get taken. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get taken out. These Bammers decided to make a timeline of horrific actual events that took place and make movies on each and every one of them and string them together so that the people who get addicted to watching one have a series. And it's the same format that these superhero movies follow. You come out with the Superman movie, you got to go see the Batman movie and the Aquaman movie because they all link together. And then later on, you got the whole Justice League with now all of them fighting together. Everybody, and then you find yourself wanting to say, I got it. And the reason why I'm not just speaking this, y'all, I know people who think like this. You know what I'm saying?
It's a marketing strategy.
It's a marketing strategy. And I'm like, I watch that stuff, and it's like, these people are trying to have people terrified. Because why would you make a string of horrific movies like this but to do that? And knowing people going... Or
they could just be telling people the truth in the form of entertainment so that people won't believe it. This stuff is demonic.
Yeah, it is.
This issue's real.
Yeah.
They're making it entertainment so when it happens to you, you won't know what's going on because you're numb to it by now. It started like you said with Jason and Freddy. Freddy was a clown, if you ask me, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying?
Ridiculous
Jason,
outfit,
Michael Myers, that's something different.
Yeah.
These are people, human. You know, Freddy come up when you're sleeping, and he sneak up on you when you're sleeping. But now, these movies are geared towards the powers that were at work in those individuals that caused them to do what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know this is an evil person, or he's crazy, or he's psychotic, he running around killing all these people. Nah, now it's just straight demonic. They're demons, walking dead people, zombies, everything's about demonic stuff. It's demonism, demonizing, whatever it is. And then the devil is getting more and more control of the people here. The Holy Spirit's being withdrawn, the devil's getting a little more authority. And this is what he do. This is what he do. Been doing it. Now he don't have to necessarily torment you without your permission anymore. You're choosing to go buy that ticket and go to the movie and have your spirit tainted.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to pay money to this business to have demonic forces harassing your brain. Don't make sense to me. I don't watch that garbage. You know what I'm saying? Myself, personally. Horror movies used to be funny. This stuff, I'm not going to lie, it's too revealing. I was going to say real. But it is an element of truth to So ain't no walking dead people walking around.
Right.
But there are some walking dead people walking around. If you're spiritually dead, you might as well be a zombie. You act like one. You know what I'm saying? It might look. I know some people that be hanging outside liquor stores that look like some of them walking dead jokers. Yeah, for real. So I mean, there's an element of truth there. It's not all fiction. You know, he rocks with truth mixed with air.
It can also pollute your system to become a zombie.
Oh, this stuff right here, I firsthand know what that's about. Man, it opens up your mind to the demonic realm, and people do not recognize that they begin interacting with demons. Demons are destined for hell, so clearly they're not probably the most sound thinking and acting
Oh, it's
people.
chaotic.
It's chaos.
Chaos.
There's no hope.
Destruction, yeah.
On that spiritual realm, when that veil is pulled back, it is a very terrifying sight.
One funny thing my granddad said in the sermon, he's like, man, he said, demons be so wicked. He said, Satan got demons that don't even like each other.
Hey,
They on the same squad and hate each other.
man, that's by default they're on the same squad.
Yeah.
They're just lost.
They just lost. But they hate one another. I mean, there's no uniformity in it. They just all are there to wreak havoc.
Now, there's a hierarchy,
Yeah, there's a hierarchy.
but there are some demons that probably, and they just so off. I mean, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. The devil got a government. He got a Senate. He got a House of Representatives. You know what I'm saying? I doubt he got any judicial because ain't nobody judging nobody. But when his game plans is put together, man, it's done strategically. You know, he's the ultimate stamper of what's going to go on and what's not going to go on. Well, actually, the Most High is the one who ultimately
What he allows.
chooses, allows what's going to take place and what's not going to take place. But all of them ain't reckless, man. Look at how humans that have chosen a lifestyle that's not
pleasure
involving
here.
the Most High.
Right.
Look at how they function. They're not idiots, all of them. But you got some sick ones running around. You got some people in some real influential positions.
Right.
They're not going to eat the stuff we eat. They're not going to dress the way we dress. They're not going to speak the way we speak. They ain't got God nowhere near on their mind, but they are powerful individuals here. That's demon control. Everybody ain't running around tripping. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Everybody
yeah, I
that's
know.
demon possessed, they running
They
around
run around tripping. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That would be a deception of what he would want you to think. The devil wants you to think it is. Oh, the only way they can be demon possessed is they run around acting crazy. If you sane and you quiet in your right mind and you can think strategically in evil ways to bring about evil stratagems, oh yeah,
There's a lot of people that roll like that.
yeah.
That's the kick. That's what tripped me out about
You
this
know
thing.
what? I say this. I say this because it's a part of now what I'm about to say, it's a part of the designs, one of the stratagems of the devil, as far as entertainment is concerned. The shows that we as African American community indulge in. The shows that I'm not even gonna name them. I know a list can populate your mind in a heartbeat, whether it be a housewife this or a power that. It don't matter. All them shows are geared to reach some aspect or to reach a certain audience within our community. And when I see this program and I see the characters and the individuals on these shows that people gravitate towards, they have an affinity for, like main characters or side characters, I see the wicked mind devising how to push drugs in a very strategic way and overcome all obstacles and begin with. And you think of a mind that works that hard to do something so wicked, and it's like, what would the opposite of that be?
That's not hard. Tell you.
To have a mindset not to set up one of the most vicious things on American soil since maybe I don't even know when they started, organized crime. If you think about the concept of organized crime,
Government.
mafia, how their whole thing revolves around extortion, so that when they do get in trouble, they got the people who can convict and judge them so deep in their pocket that they're just free to do whatever they want. That's locking up the other side. Man, that type of wicked, I mean, I sit back and I marvel, because I used to love them Jones. I watch Goodfellas, like, man, that's tight. It's genius. It's evil genius. Evil genius.
It's the same evil genius. If you guys haven't gone down to the African American Museum, have you been down there yet?
Yeah, I have.
Have you seen the first floor, how they pack the ships?
Yeah.
That's in the way they coordinate trips that they packed so many brothers in those ships to get them and coordinated where they were going. Each individual. That was genius.
Evil genius. Yeah.
That blew my mind.
I stopped watching Power because it was too real. That's why I stopped. They call it entertainment. I know Jamie St. Patrick's. You know, I know them 50 Cents. You know what I'm saying? And the white boy, Tommy.
Yeah.
Know them dudes. No dudes, yeah, that they could have very easily read them dudes' bio and came up with the characters in that movie. Nah, I knew watching the preview. I haven't watched it none of this season. I don't know what season they on. But when Slim put that pistol in little homie hand, hey, I seen it on the commercial. And no dudes that's their job. We're gonna get these youngins. We're gonna groom them to the streets. We're gonna turn them into little killers, so they can take our place and keep this effed up cycle going. That should not be entertainment. That should be news. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to read about this and get some type of education on how to stay away from it. They giving the storyline to the wannabe criminals. You giving these wannabe criminals fuel.
And the minority is the main character. They'll throw in a Caucasian brother here and there, but the main character. When I saw that news report, it wasn't a news report. It was like an interview that this brother did. It was a black dude. Did it in South Korea.
Oh yeah.
He said if you saw an African American person walking down the street, what would be the first thought to come to your mind? Well, a couple of them said tourists. But then after that initial impression was pretty widespread around the people he interviewed, he was like, would you be afraid of that person? Would you be hesitant or nervous? He was like, yeah. It's like, but he hasn't done nothing. He ain't done
the movie show.
Yeah. They was like, why would you have? He's like, because in the music videos, they always have liquor and women and guns and chains and stuff. They look unsavory. And then when we turn on the movies, they're always the criminal, they're always the one behind bars and stuff. This is South Korea. This stuff stretches globally. So it's not hard to believe that racism can be found in foreign lands because when you see that, and that's all you're portrayed of, and then you have those of us in our community who will commit to only those types of roles because of the dollar that the industry will pay for you to do that. And it's the same way in the music industry. Some people will only get on a microphone and spew nonsense. It's been happening since I was young. When hip-hop first started, it was positive. It was fun. It was carefree. It was like a pickup game. Brothers used to get in a circle and just rap about their surroundings, rap about the good and the bad around them. But then it took a negative turn because they wanted the message coming from this talent, this unique way.
A group of people. Yeah. They need to get their hands in there like they do with everything else.
And they made it negative, pervasively negative. I'm just speaking on exactly. I don't even know where I was going with that, but I'm just saying it is a system going on, and it's evil genius. And it's something that a couple brothers, like these brothers up here, the brothers that run this studio, and like-minded individuals, we have to work that much harder to change the narrative. Because that which is popular is widely negative and is widely funded. Why? Because the system itself is wicked, and that's what it needs to push, not positivity. And it makes me think about the alternative to that, how much good we can do if it was just flipped on the other side. If it wasn't so negative and it was just positive. And you see about, just as case in point, you said the African American Museum, they had the exhibits back in the day where the freedom marches. And we came together because things got so dire, we had to do something. Then you got two sides. You got the nonviolent approach and the violent approach. What the Nation of Islam did to try to promote pride and prosperity, the Black Panther, all those groups who said, nah, we ain't taking it no more. There was unification. This was before the crack epidemic. This was before the insertion of substances to dull minds and substances to keep us occupied and keep us lazy, to keep us like cattle. Even all the way up until the living situations. We're going to keep them in an environment where all they see is negativity, and they have to hard press their minds to find out how they get out. So let's give them a couple ways to get out. Do wickedness more wickedly than the next man. crab in the barrel mentality. Do what you can do to get out. Forget everybody else, because you got to do something. Because you ain't expected to live past 17, 18. It's a miracle. And you look at this, and then some people think it's like, is there really a God who sits on high that can watch all this and allow it to take place? There's an answer to that. And there's truth behind what the Most High wants to do in these last days. And he's given us a glimpse of it. And it's going to be a powerful thing when it comes to complete fruition, but it's not going to happen ahead of his time. I don't want to get too far off topic, but there is hope. If you are breathing, understanding, and perceiving anything I'm saying, and it's not me saying it, you know who's saying it, and you can get a glimpse of hope, looking right in the camera, whoever's looking at me and hearing me right now. If you can just hold on and don't give up. Do not give up. That's one of the biggest themes in this whole word. There has to be a revealing of the enemy. Has to be. You got to hold on. Continuing on in the verses, for just a sec, we were talking about the darkness. Verse 13 is where we left off. It says, "For thou hast possessed my reins, thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well." Pretty much what he's saying here is like, we've gone about how we cannot escape the Spirit of God. We've gone about how the dark and the light are both the same in God's eyes. But then we go to the fact that the human body is such an amazing creation, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are made to withstand what you go through. When I was young, if I broke a bone, that joint be back in a day or two. Get a cut, that joint heal up. I fell off my bike plenty of times, jumping and doing other reckless stuff. Heal up just like that. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And even to the point where we have immune systems. Built, white blood cells. Do the red blood cells bring oxygen and bring life, and the white blood cells defend it? I mean, that whole dynamic right there that blows my mind. But we are indeed fearfully and wonderfully made. About to say something, Reg?
Yeah, I gotta say something.
My brother Reg on the show real quick. He wants to add to the program. Speak your mind, bro. Speak your mind.
For one thing, I haven't been in here too many times with these brothers. I always watch them from afar, on my phone, at home. Sometimes in my car, shouldn't be watching while I'm driving, but I always I'll tune into everybody. But these brothers are very, very special to me, because I always get a spiritual message from these brothers. They don't realize that, but I do. This is a great opportunity to be here with them today. I want you guys to speak on one thing and answer a question for me, because I understand what's going on. When we had the crack epidemic in the 90s, what was it, 90s we had the crack? 80s, 90s?
80s,
right?
90s.
Right, 80s, 90s crack epidemic, where it was destroying our people. They had this one strike rule where you go into jail if you had so much cocaine on you or whatever it was in crack. You guys remember that. I was here for that. That back then was a drug epidemic. And that epidemic took a lot of our people, black people, took a lot of all around the world, because they made cocaine affordable. At one time, cocaine was not affordable to the average person. But they flooded our neighborhoods with this element of drug that made it affordable. It was called the Hustlers, back young Cold Stone Hustlers. Remember the song? That back then was an epidemic. And nobody characterized it as an epidemic, because it was taking out of certain people. But we got an epidemic now. So it's amazing how the Lord works, or he has a sense of humor in the way he works. I just want to say this, the way he works, because they didn't give us, the minorities, any help with this epidemic. They didn't call it an epidemic. It was knocking off people, they flooded the neighborhoods with drugs. It was knocking off our people, killing a lot of people with drugs. Wasn't called an epidemic then. But now we got opioids. It's attacking a certain people. And the Lord has so full circle, let everybody see what's going on. Now it's an epidemic. Now they got all kind of drug treatment programs because it's affecting more.
They got police in certain areas that go around with kits to bring people back from those heroin overdoses. The police.
Now it's an epidemic for certain people. Our people are on opioids at times also, but not like the numbers are what it was back in the crack cocaine was affecting my people.
Truth.
Now it's affecting everybody else to say. Now it's an epidemic. Now it's a war on that, on all these treatments and everything they got going on, where they didn't have the treatment program for us when we were dying. I want you guys to speak on that. What you think? How you think the Lord works in that manner?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is the structure of how things moving towards the end of time.
Yes, sir.
Right now, the biggest disparity I see is that of the rich and the poor.
Oh.
One of the biggest things Yeshua spoke about when he was on this planet was how we are to give care to the poor, how we're supposed to take care of the poor, go visit them, visit widows and sick people and those who are poor and who've had bad luck on life. Now, this opioid epidemic, as you talk about, it's not just attacking the minority, it's to attack everybody of a lower class so that only the higher class can be maintained. We look at who's in office and clearly what his agenda is and who his base is and who he wants to protect. He gets the endorsement from the ignorant few or the ignorant majority who think that he's ruling for them, but really he's only about rich and helping the rich, those who are in position to maintain their wealth. And just eradicate. I mean, there's one thing I want to say, Reg. There have been several movies, programs, and documentaries out that have geared the mindset of people through entertainment to accept the fact that it may be time to do some necessary elimination of human life so that those that are left can be maintained and sustained on the resources of the earth that are left. So because we got this problem with so many people, and we got all this problem, people starving over here, well, let's just wipe them out and take their resources. Let's maintain. It's such a selfish design, and selfishness is at the center of it because it's about the preservation of one class over another. It's not about helping your fellow man.
No, it's not.
It's not about extending yourself and sacrificing to make sure everybody can get something, to make sure everybody can get their hand in and get what they need. It's about, those who have accumulated much, let's find out how we can hold on to it and get more, while those who can't get anything, let's just wipe them out so we don't have to feel guilty about it no more. Because that's what it is. It's the guilt. Genocide. So if you're talking about, that's where it's going.
When people that voted for him, his supporters, they didn't understand that. He's all about rich. Right. If you're not rich, he's not in your corner. Simple as that.
It's the blindness of racism.
Yes.
It's the blindness and the ignorance of bigotry. To believe that because of the hue of your skin naturally promotes you to be better than another person because their skin is darker is one of the most ignorant things. If I cut you or me, we both bleed red blood.
Red blood all day long.
Let me tell you like this, man.
All day long.
Crack was designed to have long-term effects. Even though the immediate high was something extraordinary, it was designed to have long-term effects on human beings. But just like a lot of stuff, I'm going to use malt liquor for an example. There are a lot of white people drink malt liquor. You know what I'm saying? They're going to drink their wine. You find liquor stores in mostly colored neighborhoods. Predominantly, for the most part. You find wine and spirit stores in the outskirts. You know what I'm saying? They're going to get some imported beer, or some lagers, or wine, or some spirits, some good liquor. But the malt liquor is for us.
Our communities.
It's for us. And Dick Gregory said, you drink enough malt liquor, you'll slap your mother, or you'll kill moms, or something like that. He said, it does something to you. The crack, I was just watching Godfather, a little bit of Godfather today, when they had that sit down, when his son got killed. Now, Don Corleone was against the drugs. Yeah, they did their organized crime, whatever. No drugs. We're not doing that.
Right.
But it was agreed upon, we will push the drugs, but only in the colored neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Since they're animals anyway, we're going to keep them. And this was in what? I don't know what year that was.
Yeah, it was 60.
Yeah, 60. That's what I was going to say, about 60 and 70. So you got cocaine everywhere. Mm-hmm. Heroin, even. was everywhere. I think the Queen of Spain or England? One of them was one of the biggest poppy dealers. You know what I'm saying? That was one of they things they traded amongst nations. But lozenges, you know what I'm saying, used to be heroin over here back in the day. Cough drops was heroin drops. Drugs have been implemented. Cocaine was in Coca-Cola. They've implemented drugs and everything, whatever make you feel good. You know what I'm saying, for the longest time. When they saw a people starting to get themselves together, a people that was starting to get themselves together, yeah, you had some wild stuff going on, but I'm going to go as far as to say this, and I don't know this for a fact. This gang violence, like you said, these gangs, even the Crips and the Bloods, they started for
protection
to protect the neighborhoods.
You know
what I'm saying? But then you put a bunch of money in the mix, you put guns in the mix, you put drugs in the mix, and you put jokers against each other.
Flood the neighborhood with it.
Evil genius. Flood the neighborhoods with it. Now it's a man, killer be killed mentality. But my thing was to keep a spiritual outlook. The Most High said, man, he's going to visit the iniquities of the fathers to the third and fourth generation of them that hate him. Our people are over here as a form of punishment. We were sold to our enemies' enemies, right? Them same people that came with that crack are our enemies' enemies, you know? But the ones that did that to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, or I go as far as say them that hate my people, because we are his people, now they kids is going through it. The kids that look like the ones that got us in this mess. Third and fourth generation. He does things in order and in decency, even though it could be carnage involved. You know what I'm saying? I believe it's by design. And you asked where the Most High was in this. I don't think it's catching them off guard. And it ain't like that's what you get. But he said, I'm going to visit the iniquities of the fathers to the third and fourth generations of them that hate me. You came from my people, 4 generations done passed, bruh. Now your kids is jacked up. So, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question, but I see it coming full circle.
One more question I got for you guys. Why do you say, well, I believe it. I want you to explain to the audience and everybody that might be watching YouTube who missed this, who's going to come back and watch this time and time again. Explain to everybody in the camera right now, why do you think and you know that this is our last days?
I mean, aside from the overwhelming evidence?
Give them some evidence. Tell them, you guys say this all the time, we living in the last day. Give them some biblical why you see and why you know we're in our last days. I believe we're in our last days.
I think it was the Savior that gave the example. You say, you pay attention to the fig tree. When it starts to lose its leaves, you know winter is near. So when you see in certain things, you see this condition the church is in, you see the condition, when I say the church, I mean the self-professed people of God, self-professed, not biblically stamped, but self-professed. When you see the condition that their entity is in, you see what's going on in the world, when you see, maybe wars and rumors of wars.
About the weather.
And signs in the weather, technology will increase rapidly, men will run. Over the past 20 years, I mean, stuff has been developed over the past 20 years that hadn't been around for thousands of years.
Right.
Concepts may have been there.
Revelations, ain't you?
Concepts may have been there, but then you got actual tangible stuff coming about. The internet has been it's been a means of getting a lot of positive information out there as well as a whole lot of negative information. I mean, all the evidence is right in front of people's eyes if they choose to open their eyes and read. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you choose to think everything's gravy because the president of the United States tell you he's gonna make America great, I mean, I don't know. You know.
I want to read this passage out of 2 Timothy. This is the first thing that came to my mind, and these are kind of, and actually when I'm reading these couple verses, think to yourself truly, like and judge yourself truly. Like, do I really see this in people nowadays? Whether it be on TV, people around me. That's where I'm going.
Go for it.
2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 1. It says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come." That means dangerous. That's perilous. "For men shall be lovers of their own selves." Let's stop right there. Just do it. Do as thou wilt. Get yours. Do you.
Hey.
Any of that sound familiar? And it's not just through entertainment. I'm talking about Sprite.
Gotta get mine.
Gotta get mine.
Gotta get
Always
mine.
look out for yourself. Do you?
How many followers can you
YOLO.
get? How many likes can you get?
Yeah.
They created a stick so you can get a better picture of yourself.
Yeah, selfie stick.
Called selfies.
Now YOLO
All
is
about-
an old phrase. That YOLO ain't recent. What does that mean? You only live once.
Oh, that's what it means?
Yeah,
okay.
that's what YOLO means. You only live once. That means the reason why saying that is
That's a
whatever you
deception.
want to do, whatever you got the desire to do that joint. No matter how it feel, no matter what it is, do it because you only live once.
Who it hurts.
Let's keep going. For men should be lovers of their own selves, covetous. That means you want what everybody else got. When you covet something, that means got a nice watch. Covetous is the next level. If got a nice watch and I like his watch and I want to get it, I might go out and buy it. But covetous is like, he got a nice watch. I need
his
that.
watch.
I need his watch.
Okay, another one is, what's the next best thing? What's next? Like the next new phone or what's next? What's the next thing going?
Yeah, constantly
Gotta keep up with the
upgrade.
trends.
Gotta keep up with the Joneses. Hey.
Keep up with the Jones. You watch E! Channel, all that Kardashian mess. They have so swayed. Man, we can stay on this. Let's keep going. Covetous. Boasters. That's the next joint. Boasters. After covetous comes boasters. How many rap songs do you hear where the Bammers is only talking about they women, they money?
What they got.
Have you ever seen Bammers now do this thing called the money phone, where they take a stack of money. Now the first person I seen do this was Floyd Mayweather, because Mayweather got stupid bread. But he was on. They had a post of him and 50 Cent in their own rooms, like somewhere else, and they acted like they were talking to one another, and they had a stack of money up to their ear as if it was a phone.
Right.
Now you got people trying to do that all the time. This also comes in connection with Bama's going to the club and making it rain. If a Bama come into the club and he making it rain dollars, the next dude come in there, he got to be dropping 5s and 10s, and then 20s and then 100s, because that's the largest bill we got. And you got to make it rain. You boasting. Think about when you go to the club and you get a table. When I got a table back in the day, we had to, pay a grip, and then we just had a prime location. You know what I'm saying? We had a location where the women, I used to be a bouncer. I used to patrol the VIP area. The people would be in an elevated area in a plush seating arrangement around the table so that when the club got real tight or real hype, they was in an elevated position. They could see everything that was going on. When you at an elevated position, people look up to you.
Yep. So
you getting attention. Now you think about it even more so. When you get a table in the club and you get bottles, them joints come out with all types. First of all, they get special. They get women who are not waitresses. These women stand in the back, in the kitchen or wherever they at, get the bottles, and they're specifically bottle girls. They come out there and they bring the bottles with sparklers on them. And if it's your birthday, they'll bring out like a huge cake and everything. And then the DJ himself will stop the music in the club and cast all attention on you. So that everybody knows that it is your night, you having a good time, and it brings this feeling of euphoria and pride and boosts it even higher. You're boasting. That's what you're doing. And then at the end of the night, how many people have I seen just looking at a bill and everybody who was sitting around them just scattered?
Gone.
That bill about 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures sometimes. But you boasting. What's the next word? Proud. I take that as when you wrong, you know you wrong, but you won't admit to the fact that you wrong. Just too proud. Pride is a common joint. Like we've heard that from back in the day.
Or you
pride
afraid,
coming before fall.
Afraid to ask for help.
Afraid to ask for help. Lord have mercy. Actually, that could be applied to me. So I ain't gonna sit here and act like, you know what I'm saying, I'm unaffected by any of this. I know I am, but that's why I pray. Blasphemers. This girl, what's her name? Her name Ariana something. I can't remember, but she is popular now. And the reason I saw it because this was on Channel 4 News. She got this song called "God Is a Woman" or something like that. Blasphemer. Made a whole song. That joint got millions of views, millions of likes, probably made millions of dollars. I cannot tell you how many verses the people I hear in my neighborhood that have memorized talking about how they are God or God ain't nothing. Or artists will come out and throw God in their title of their song in a blasphemous way, as if he ain't got no power, he ain't watching. Can't nobody help you now, ain't no God. You know what I'm saying? Everybody atheists, don't even know they're atheists. Mm-hmm. How you gonna be?
Now let's keep everybody on track. I asked these brothers why.
How you know they in the last days?
How do we know we in the last days? This is what we talking about right now.
2 Timothy chapter 3. You start from verse 1, and it's going down the list. If you be honest with yourself, if I'm reading any of this stuff, it's like, man, I don't see none of that. Realistically, ask yourself this. Let's hurry up and get through some of these. Just after blasphemers, it says disobedient to parents.
Oh.
That's the next one. Next one after that is unthankful. And then it says unholy. I can't tell you, we talked about horror shows and all that stuff. All that stuff is unholy. All that. Without natural affection, truce breakers, meaning don't nobody keep their word. The word is all we had back in the day. My grandfather told me.
I was about to say my grandfather.
They was on that.
You ain't got no but your
you ain't got your word.
You ain't got nothing.
If can't nobody count on you to do nothing, Slim, it's like you either gonna say you gonna do what you gonna. You either gonna say what you gonna do what you gonna say. Am I saying it right? Either you gonna do what you said you was gonna do, or you not. You're a truce breaker. Don't make no promises. Don't tell somebody you're gonna do something and not do it. That's what that means.
Keep your word.
False accusers. That's pretty much liars. That's all, to me, that's all power is. It's just a whole web of lies. Everybody on that daggone show be lying so daggone much, man. I don't know how they live. I don't know how they sane. Incontinent. I need to look that up. Incontent. There you go. Just not content with what you got. Always needing more. Fierce. Despisers of those are good. Traitors. Heady. High-minded. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, and you should turn away from such. For of this sort they are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to an understanding or knowledge of the truth. There are a couple other scriptures that say it will be as in the days of Noah. Now, if you don't know how stuff was in the days of Noah, you know one thing. The only reason why you know of the name Noah is because Noah in the ark. Why did he build the ark? That's because God put this whole earth on spin cycle. Because everybody was tripping. And only 8 people were found righteous. 8 out of the entire population. And we're talking about an age of men who were smarter than we are now. More healthy than we are. Taller in stature. Everything they were was better than we are now.
I don't know that 8 people were found righteous. One was.
One was.
Most High chose to save him and his family.
So because he followed.
I don't talk about Ham, Shem, and Japheth being righteous.
Right.
Or their wives.
But Moses was drunk. He just stuck to the mission.
Yeah. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
He found grace in the eyes of the Lord. There you go.
But I mean, you not to say you said anything wrong.
Right.
But Noah was the one that had the relationship. His kids honored their father. They helped him build a boat.
Right.
Most High probably looked down and was like, okay, I can do something with them and repopulating the earth. They women, that was their women. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But look at what Lot's daughters did when they were saved also out of Sodom and Gomorrah. They got their father drunk and laid with them on purpose. So it's because he saved you.
But that also underlines the importance of a godly man, or a man that has a connection with the Most High. His whole house may be saved because of his relationship.
What happened on the boat with Paul? It was because he was there on that boat that those other prisoners made it safely to the shore.
That's right.
And he got to get him that testimony when he got bit by that snake and shit. All that was to say the savages on the island they ended up getting washed up on. They had nothing to do with the clowns that was on the boat. The Most High needed them savages on that island
to get saved.
So they can go out as warriors and take the truth to people that them jokers on that boat were scared to go talk to. But that's...
And the first time the world got destroyed by water. Next time it's going to be fire.
It'll be fire next time.
I'm going to get off the air, but I want y'all to break that down to me. Just a little, fire. I want you to break that down to them when he said the next time it'll be fire.
But you got the example from Sodom and Gomorrah. Scientists have already found chunks of brimstone there, which is just a form of metal. But when he heated it, they couldn't even get it to the temperature that he heated it. It.
That's what blew my mind off.
Man.
But you also look at it as the fact that regions and portions of the earth are covered by water, and there needed to be division in the continents because man came together and only saw fit to fulfill one thing: evil desire. So now we got continents. We got the great Atlantic and the Pacific separating 2 huge land masses. You know what I'm saying? The second time is going to be fire. What happens when you burn down a forest? What's laid down there for new life to come?
It's replenishing.
Replenishing.
You can't get pure gold without melting it down first and burning off the impurities. This earth needs to be cleansed.
Purified.
This planet needs to be purified. Now, I got a different philosophy on how much water we got here. I believe there's stuff buried in the depths of the oceans that the Most High don't want to see until it's time to destroy it. That was on great plains on this planet created by men of renown in the antediluvian age, where it was just so disrespectful to the Most High. I'm going to cover it with water. You know what I'm saying? If men were of such a stature as they were back then, they probably walked the spans between the continent of Africa and the continent of North America. You know what I'm saying? Between, who knows how long it would take if you 20-something. I mean, if you going on these, so people, it's like it's almost these migrate, when you migrate or whatever, migration, you just travel thousands of miles as if it's nothing. I mean, thousands of miles is somebody that's twice, 2-3 times our height, might be hundreds of thousands of miles to us. You know what I'm saying? But they just set out, might have jogged the span so that who knows, for 1,600 years they had time to populate the earth.
Right.
There were no massive bodies of water like the oceans that we have now. So as they travel in these spans, they're building stuff. The Most High covered it with water. That stuff needs to be turned to steam. So the fire, as them chunks of fire hit that water, it's going to evaporate.
Yeah.
The elements are going to burn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The atmosphere is going to be on fire. Everything here is going to burn for the purpose of cleansing. That's why the water washed away the wicked people and their creations prior to the flood. After the flood, the wicked people and their creations are going to be destroyed in fire because it's not going to come about again. When he let that fire go, it's going to be for the purpose of purifying and cleaning this planet. So when he makes it new and he brings the new Jerusalem here, all traces of sin and wickedness are going to be. The only reminder of sin that we're going to have are going to be the nail prints in his hands and the scars in his feet and his side, because that's what sin did. Sin killed the Son of the Most High. And other than that, forever, this is going to be our new home here, purified by fire. The fire is for the purpose of purification.
Going more so into that direction of hope and what we can expect for the future, I just want to focus on 2 more verses in Psalms 139, particularly 17 and 18, where it says, "How precious are thy thoughts unto me, O God! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee." I want to focus on that for just a second, because what we've been talking about for this show, and then the majority of what we've spoken about the minorities, the African-American community, it may seem that we're in such a position to where there is no hope. And there are a lot of people who have adopted the idea and like fully, like there ain't no hope. I'm just here waiting to die. You know what I'm saying? But this right here tells me that when David was in trouble, running away from Saul, and I'm not sure when he wrote this verse, but David had experienced peril at this point in time. And yet he still finds the wherewithal to write down the fact that the Most High has innumerable thoughts towards him. Innumerable. They're like the sand of the sea. Can't count that number. And he says, make sure I read it right, if I should count them, he's like, when I am awake, I'm still with thee. He's like, how great is the sum of all these thoughts you have to me? This gives me hope and belief that the Most High has thoughts towards people who are suffering. Some of them. The sum of his thoughts towards people who are suffering, people who are poor, people who are in minority situations, people who struggle on a day-to-day basis. He still has these thoughts towards them. Now, his thoughts ain't just sitting up there for no reason. He would not have these multiple thoughts towards people in bad situations if there was not going to be any type of action on these thoughts.
Let me tell you, let me ask you a question. What would make more sense? What would make more sense what would let a person know that the Most High, that God is real? Which situation would let a person know that God is real more? If they had a crying baby and they had no milk or clean Pampers, and they're crying out to God, what would let them know or which one of these two situations would let them know, in your opinion, that God is real? If they went to the refrigerator and there was magically milk in there and a box of Pampers appeared, or if somebody knocked on their door with a gallon of milk and some Pampers and said, look, man, I was laying in my bed, I was in the grocery store, and, you know, my son just graduated from college, but for some reason, the Holy Spirit impressed me to pick up some diapers and bring them to your house. Only God can get credit for that. If something magically appears, not to say he can't perform a miracle and make something miraculously appear, but you talking about to give a person hope and believing that this thing can, I can experience that. Mm-hmm. I can get a relationship where I'm hearing him clear enough to know he's telling me, all right, you got enough milk to last you through the night. I'll send somebody else tomorrow. Take that upstairs to your neighbor because she needs some milk too. Mm. But your baby needed it. But he just supplied your need, so now it's up to you to go supply somebody else's need. If more people thought like that, mm-hmm. they wouldn't do so much waiting on something to miraculously happen. They'd go take care of it themselves, especially if you possess the ability to do it. People sitting on all this bread. They got all these resources. Talking about, man, God, I would help this person, my neighbor down the street, they struggling, bless them in Jesus' name. And you go on off, jump in your Benz and go to work. You know what I'm saying? Get your 180, get your $60,000 check, or your 30, however much you made in them 2 weeks. Go put that in your bank account. They got about 8 figures in it. Drive back home, pass by that family, you know what I'm saying, after you and your wife just came out from eating at L'Oreal Plaza somewhere, about a $300, take your leftovers and bring them home and put them in the bowls of your pedigree dogs. You know what I'm saying, your chocolate lab and your poodle. You get them your steak pieces that's left over. But you ask Jesus to help them people down the street with their financial situation.
Well, even worse than that, you have a call to prayer. You pray for all these people who got all these problems and say God will take care of it. Then you lift offering in the next breath, knowing that your church grosses like in the millions.
Well, no, you can write your own check. You can go in your own pocket. I don't understand why people always got to pass the plate around when you could do it. If a pastor comes and you know this pastor may need some gas, pastor may need somewhere to stay, well, I'm going to ask that the church take up a special offering. When you got the money to do it, or you got 2 extra rooms in your house, you know what I'm saying, why can't he come stay with you? I'm just saying it's people, the mindset of most
being uncomfortable.
If the Spirit, all right, why the Holy Spirit going to put it on your heart to ask somebody else to do? I guess that's what I'm saying. If he puts it on your heart, it's for you to take care of it, not to call somebody else and tell them to handle it. Right. You know what I'm saying? But that's an out. That's an easy out for a lot of people. Well, Most High, I heard, so, brother such and such, he got more time than I got, so he told me if I ever needed him for something to call him. So, yeah, I'm a pass this on it. He'd have called brother such and such if he wanted him to do it. Or he'd have said something to Slim. You know what I'm saying? I just threw that out there because sometimes it's a lot easier. Sometimes it's a lot easier to pray about something than it is to do something about it. That's why I put that out there. Sometimes it's easier to just pray about something and feel like you did your due diligence and to get your behind up and actually go do something about it, if you can. If you can't, then that doesn't apply to you. I hope you're not offended. But go ahead.
This last point I wanted to bring out from Psalms 139, and it's the comparison between the first verse and the last two. This is what I want to bring out, or what I'm being given to bring out because of it. First verse says, O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Last 2 verses says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. And see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Let me tell you the difference between the two. In the beginning, David knows that God has searched him before. He's speaking in the past tense. Thou hast searched me and known me, past tense. But at the end of this same chapter, he asked God, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts and see if there be any wicked way in me. And that's the point I want to make. David constantly knew his state. He was aware of himself, aware of his sinfulness. He was ready to humble himself and yield to God's judgment. When he asks God to search him again, he realizes that since the time he searched him before, being well acquainted with all his ways, he may have something in him newly acquired that he may not even know about. Or just simply the fact that he knows he's human, born in sin, shaping in iniquity, knows he is prone to mess up, and because he has that constant awareness of himself, it leads him to be constantly dependent upon God. And that is the biggest point of this chapter to me. To know that you got to be constantly dependent, and to know that you need to be led in the way of everlasting. We can't find that way by ourselves. We can't find the proper road by ourselves and walk that journey. Certainly not walk that journey by ourselves. So when he asked God to search him and to know his heart, knowing his heart, when he says know my heart and my thought, that's like, man, know that I'm trying to do right. My heart wants to do right. Know that if I formulate a thought in my head, yeah, that joint gonna be wrong sometimes, but I got the urge in my heart to do what is right. Know my heart and know me, Lord. Know that I'm not here to disappoint you. I'm not here to try to piss you off and to get you upset or to get you at a point where you don't want nothing else to do with me. I just know I need you. So search me again. And if you find anything wicked in me since the last time you searched me, please take that joint out and lead me in your way, because I know that if I'm left to myself, I'm going to leave your way. Because wicked stuff is in me. Your problem. Sin in you. And that was the biggest thing that I pulled from that. It's like his humility to return back to the question of what he started out with. He knows God has searched him before, but he knows that God needs to continually search him and pull out any wickedness along the way because of his propensity to acquire wicked traits or have something in him that he had all along he ain't know about. Having that awareness, that self-awareness, and that dependability on God is the most powerful, is one of the most, it's humility. That's what it is in essence. You talk about the fall, how sin entered the world. It came because of the opposite of humility. It came because of pride. It came because one joker was not satisfied, thought he could do stuff that was better than the Most High, and that started his long slide to downfall and how we got infected with sin. Because of pride. You will be like God. You will not surely die. Don't you want to be like him? Yeah. I want to do it myself. Try it. What was the enemy's main purpose for his whole riot in heaven? I can do this better than you, Slim. I'm already the most beautiful, most talented. I cover you.
He didn't think they needed anybody telling them what to do. As angels, they were capable of making their own decisions and dealing with themselves. They didn't need to be underneath God's rule and authority. We're angels. We've been doing this on our own this far. What we need, without like ignorantly disregarding the fact that the Most High was sustaining them. But that's just the asinineness of removing yourself from the covering or the anointing. He removed himself from the anointing. He was given opportunities to come repent and get his same position back. He wasn't even going to get demoted. He's going to get the same position back and didn't even take the opportunity.
He said God bore along with that joke.
And bore along with him. You know what I'm saying? He's next highest in command, but
it wasn't enough.
I'm going to tell you like this, man.
Go ahead.
I read this in 139 and it's not. And the chapter is called God's Omniscience and Omnipotence Are Absolute. God's omniscience and omnipotence are absolute. He is aware of a person's innermost thoughts. Now, with the breaking down that you've already given up to verse 18, I'm going to just read it.
Yeah.
In its entirety, though.
Yeah, okay.
It says, for the conductor. Start at verse 1 of chapter 39 of Psalms. For the conductor, by David, a psalm. O Hashem, You have scrutinized me, and you know me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought from afar. You encompass my path and my repose. You are familiar with all my ways. For the word is not yet on my tongue. Behold, Hashem, you knew it all. Back and front, you have restricted me, and you have laid your hand upon me. Knowledge is beyond me, exalted. I am incapable of it. Where can I go from your spirit? And where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the lowest depths, behold, you are there. Were I to take up wings of dawn, were I to dwell in the midst, were I to dwell in the distant west, there too your hand would guide me, and your right hand would grasp me. Would I say, I ain't see anything about the sea in that one. That must be the distant west, having to cross a body of water. That may have been the implication. If you go to distant west, there's got to be water, because I'm not going to make it. This says, if I make my bed in the lowest depths, behold, you are there. Were I to take up wings of dawn, that must be the dwell in the midst of the sea.
Right.
Okay.
Verse 9.
Right. Were I to take up wings of dawn, were I to dwell in the distant west, there too your hand would guide me, and your right hand would grasp me. Would I say, surely darkness will shadow me? Then the night would become as light around me. Even darkness obscures not from you, and night shines like the day. Darkness and light are the same. For you have created my mind. You have covered me in my mother's womb. I acknowledge you, for I am awesomely, wonderfully fashioned. Wondrous are your works, and my soul knows it well. My frame was not hidden from you. That which I was made in concealment, which I was knit together in the lowest parts of the earth. Your eyes saw my unshaped form, and in your book all were recorded. Though they will be fashioned through many days, to him they are one. To me, how glorious are your thoughts, O God. How very great are their headings. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. Even if I were to be constantly awake and always with you. Oh, that you would slay the wicked. Hold up. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. Even if I were to be constantly awake and always with you. If we never went to sleep and stayed in the presence of the Most High, the amount of thoughts he got for us would still outweigh that.
If we were constantly awake.
We're constantly awake and with him, meaning ain't no room for no bad stuff to get in there.
Ain't no air, because we're constantly with him.
Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God, and men of blood, to whom I say, depart from me. Those who pronounce your name for wicked schemes. It is taken in vain by your enemies. For indeed those who hate you, O Hashem, I hate them, and I quarrel with those who rise up against you. With the utmost hatred I hate them. They have become enemies unto me. Examine me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my thoughts, and see if I have a vexing way, and lead me in the way of eternity. I'm glad this is what he took you to, bro, because I turned to several different things this morning, trying to get me a little something in before we went in the studio. But this is what I needed to read. Right here, in its entirety. When you went, that's why I giggled to myself when you was like Psalm 139, and I started. And you talking about how you wanted to see what it said in here. Once you started reading, I was familiar with the chapter, but I hadn't heard it like
In there.
I had heard it in here.
I like the fact you said you knows my mind. You created my mind. You said it was something you said. It was either verse 3 or 4 that you read also.
You encompass my path and my
That's 3.
repose. You are familiar with all my ways, for the word is not yet in my tongue. Behold, Hashem, you knew it all. I think that was
You
like,
said restricted me for the next one. But the thing you said, your repose, that's your rest.
Mm-hmm.
Lying down is you just lying down, but rest is deeper to me, man. That's like, you know when to give me rest. You don't always have to be lying down to rest. That's what repose means.
that's true.
He
He
knew
gave
when
us-
you wanted, needed to sit down.
He
know,
gave us a day of rest.
He gave us a day. There you go.
That should consist of us doing good for others, but not working.
Right.
So it ain't always about staying in the bed and, like Slim was saying,
no.
watching the service online.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm resting. Nah, get your behind up, put on some comfortable
Rest from
clothes.
all your stuff.
There you go. And go out and help somebody.
Yeah. Rest from all your efforts and stuff that consume your day to day.
But I'm trying to see what you said something about. I know what you're
You
talking about.
said, yeah, I think it was, it may have been down a little bit further.
For you have created my mind, verse
Yeah.
13.
13.
For you have created my mind.
My joint says, for thou hast possessed my reins.
I guess that
I like
would
created.
you're in control
Yeah, you
of
confirm
what
it,
drives
yeah.
me.
Right, exactly.
If you possess my reins, then you're the one steering the car.
Right.
But for you have created my mind. You know what I'm capable. You know the directions I'm capable of going in before I even start out on them.
Yeah,
So you do possess the reins because you created my ability to choose to go here or go there. So I mean, they kind of say the same thing, but that's like a simple. That's kind of like the beef I got with that now. They want to simplify everything. Let the spirit simplify.
Let the spirit simplify it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Man, that joint spoke volumes to me this week, man. I needed it. I hit that joint maybe like I think it came with a devotion on Wednesdays. It was like the middle of the week. But I just love that chapter, man, because it's like, because so easily we sit around and think that, you know, we may sit around and think that it's like, man, I'm really going through too much. Like, does God know about this? Does he care? I mean, is he seeing this? I mean, we just go to that extreme. Go outside, my tire flat, you know what I'm saying? Go to work, got too much work to do, come home, kids stressing, people calling me nonstop. It's like today was a hell of a day. Slim, are you watching? What's going on? This thing goes from such an origin to like it's like, nah, Slim, he knew you before he made you in the womb. Mm-hmm. He formed you. He created your mind. You can't escape his presence. I mean, let's just hit the big bullet points. And then he thinks about you all the daggone time. You can't even count his thoughts towards you.
real quick, this event that was brought to our attention today on the 29th about anti-K2, anti-violence workshop, K2. You don't know what K2 is? Spice,
Scooby Snacks.
Scooby Snacks, Bizarro, Space Cadet, you know, and a whole bunch of other stupid names that was given to what the package tells you is potpourri, and it's not for human consumption. From a person that has smoked it, among other mind-altering / opening substances, it's nothing by the grace of the Most High that I'm able to sit and have this conversation with you in this capacity. There are people that have smoked PCP once and have lost their mind. They're done. So the fact that it's being brought to people's attention on this type of scale, I think needs to be looked at. This stuff is not, well, obviously it's not good for you, but I don't think people really understand what they're putting into their bodies or the purpose. Talking about the horror movies and people's minds being, like I said, crack was designed for long-term effects on our people. It worked perfectly. It resulted in a lot of men killing themselves, ended up locked up, which made so their children grew up fatherless without an example, or the kids that were affected by the mothers that were smoking it, they grew up jacked up, didn't have a chance to really develop properly, and if they became parents, they were incapacitated to a certain extent. Crack did a whole lot of damage. This is our last generation, and these kids are being turned into demons. They're being connected mentally. They already have evil feelings. You know, the flesh is wicked. You know what I'm saying? The mind is at war with the flesh. If a substance has been created to put the mind and the flesh on the same page, that's dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Most High said, I will put enmity between thy seed and the woman. This removes that enmity, and it combines the mind and them demons talking to you, Joe. You already are eager to do certain stuff anyway. Like you find yourself doing something without really wanting to do it. That's why people be seemingly they're lunching. It's supposed to be a separation. You know, that means like the Most High has been removed. When the devil got full control, you see people just tripping on the street, convulsing. They're being harassed mentally, brother. I'm telling you. They may not be able to verbalize that to you, but their beings are being rocked. Their existences are being pummeled by 5,000 demons. The legion that lived in the demoniac made that nigga crazy. He wanted to live in the tombs. He cut himself. He ran around running like these jokers that be out here laying on the street tripping. But he only had 5,000 demons in him. This stuff may bring in 10,000 demons, 20,000 demons. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? I don't know, but I'm just saying this is serious. And if you're smoking it, I used to call it P.O. pack because you didn't get it dirty when you smoked it. It was like it was packed for jokers that was on probation. Aloha, you know what I'm saying? There's another name they used to call it. I'm telling you, I mean, I've smoked this. I know the effects of it. I know what it does to the mind and what you sense and feel and think you see when you're somewhat conscious. It's dangerous. It's just as dangerous as any of these other drugs that's out here, man. And it's something that needs to be paid attention to. You know, it's eating up the youth. It's eating up the youth, along with these bath salts. And you know what I'm saying? This other man-made madness that people are all too willing to shoot into their vein or snort to their nose or guzzle down their throat. It doesn't make sense. It's mind-blowing what we do to ourselves, what we subject ourselves to, you know, and what the Most High would much rather us not do. It's like we just run to all manner of ignorance, myself included. So I'm not excluding myself from this. What's being said, by the grace of God, I ain't got a desire to see no PCP or no Scooby snacks or whatever. And my issues are, you know what my issues are, but man, just pray. Pray for a renewing of the mind. That's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take some jokers beholding truth so that their minds can be renewed. Other than that, man, if the Most High don't get his hands on you to renew your mind, there is no hope. That's just where we at. That's just real talk. I mean, that's the state that we're in right now. If the Most High can't get his hands on you, you got so much garbage blocking your thought process. You see how he deals with the thoughts? You see how he deals with the thoughts. If we constantly putting the ish in our ears and before our eyes and in our bodies to make us think anti-Most High, there's no hope.
Pray for him to search you.
Yeah.
And find any wickedness and lead you in the way everlasting.
Show you what's wrong with you. Because we think we good. We think we good. And we all, what do you say? Our righteousness is as filthy rags. We all a bunch of dirty tampons walking around. That's what that filthy rag stand for. Yeah, that's what the translation of that filthy rag that they talking about is literally a woman's menstrual cloth. Used menstrual cloth. Yeah. Foul. That's what our righteousness is. The best that we can come up with is as a flippin' used maxi pad. So, man, we all messed up. We all need help. Pray for us while we praying for y'all.
I'm done. You want to take us out?
Bow your head. The water Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Most High, thank you for stopping by like you do. Be with our efforts, you know. Be with the desires that you've placed in us. Continue to cultivate the thoughts that you think for us and towards us. Be with the efforts of this ministry. You know, there are unspoken requests that both myself and Brad, and I'm sure Reggie had. You know our hearts, you know our thoughts. Dig into us and extract what is needed to come out so that you can replace it with what's needed for us to move forward and grow. We holding on to a bunch of nonsense, baggage, situations, circumstances, deeds. Remove it. Clear the fields so you can replant it. And we got weeds growing in everywhere, and hedges need to be trimmed down, and spider webs and everything in our lives, and we got all types of insects attacking us, biting us, and my prayer is that you continue to keep us immune, because you've been keeping us immune to all the venom that the devil has been spitting our way as you continue to keep us immune. Bless our efforts in the studio as you continue to be with the Hargrove family, and be with John McCain's peoples. He passed last night. Brain cancer, I think, is what it was. The government's going through turmoil. You set up over the kingdoms of men who you choose to, so Trump getting elected didn't catch you off guard. So whatever game plan you got with that situation, I just ask that you prepare us for it. Get us ready for whatever it is you're doing behind the scenes. Be with the brother that came in here that's doing this demonstration on the 29th. Thank you for bringing my man home from the hospital. I believe I said it, but I say it again. Continue to be with the Hargrove family. Be with Brad, his family. Be with my family. Be with Reggie's family. We need your guidance. We need your spirit. We think we know. We're leaning on self. We're boastful. We're covetous. We're backbiters. We're envious. Fix us. You the one with the blueprint. You know, you made us. You formed us in the womb. You got the originals for all of us, so you can go back and change up whatever needs to be changed up. Thank you in advance for fixing us. Be with Darian out there where he at and them two atheist brothers. Bring them around to seeing who you really are in your servant, and protect him and bring him back to his family safely. There's a lot more that could be prayed about, but you know all, you see all, you are in all, and we give you all praise. So thank you for blessing us in Yahweh Shai's name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. It's been Real Talk 101 here at the Vox Wave Studios. We'll be back with you, not next weekend, but I believe the weekend after. With Brother Patterson. He said he wanted to come back on, so hopefully that works out. But until then, y'all bless you going through your week.
See the truth.